most martial arts, old arts, also have weird names, like, you know, beheading the dragon and stomping the tiger and tiger claw technique or whatever. They have weird names like that. Do you know why?
To hide it, man.
Yes, because they didn't have, like we have today, they don't have ways of securing information in a secret way that, you know, people can't have access. You can put things on your computer and then save a password, and only those with the password get it, unless you're going to steal or hack the information, right? But if someone steals the scroll and it's kata number 1, beheading the dragon, kata number 2, you know, swords of steel, kata number 3, you know, stomping the tiger, no one knows what those are. There's no idea. Only the people that know that information would know what that kata is. That's why when you look at these old kata from these old martial arts, not just Japanese martial arts, all these old martial arts have really cool names like that, but that's the reason why. Because they wanted to give it a name that only the person that knew it would know what it is. Because if someone stole the scroll, that's all they get. They don't get the how-tos. It's like, there's a difference between like a mokoroku and a densho. Mokoroku is just, there's the technique. Number 1, ichi no gata, ni no gata, san no gata, shi no gata. It doesn't tell you how to do it, it just tells you what it is. Mokoroku is a catalog scroll. So that's why it's one way that a lot of these martial arts were passed down, you know, in secret, was be able to hide the name of the technique. And the kanji that they use generally is reflective to a certain degree of that. I do want to say though, I want to say this real quick, is don't look too much into that. Because these arts were made by warriors. They were not made, you know, let me just make a fighting technique based off the prettiest kanji that I know. That's absolutely not what happened. I mean, I ran into this one ninjutsu practitioner, it's about 5 or 6 months ago, and he's telling me how this ancient ninja technique from his school was made off of the kanji for oni, and da-da-da, you know, and all this kind of thing. And it's, you know, samurai and ninja, they were paid soldiers to kill people. That was their job. That was their profession. Their profession wasn't, to find some fluffy-ass, sour, you know, sweet-ass way to, you know, come up with a soft way of doing that, or some poetic way. That was not their job. Their job was to kill. So if you do see things like that, you see people doing things based off of certain things, it was probably added much later. You know what I mean? It definitely wasn't in the age of the samurai. And like I said, the Taijutsuki Miyagoki was created after, as a way to preserve it. But just because it was created in a way to preserve it, even though the name and the kanji may have certain meanings from a Kuden perspective, don't think that doesn't have any combative application. Does that make sense? Yeah. But sometimes you have schools that lose that, so they'll do the technique based on the kanji and based off of some calligraphy, and they lose the combative aspect and the application. Once you do that, you've lost the art. Once you've lost the combat, you've lost the art. These arts, the samurai and the ninja traditions, these ryuha, they were made in a time of war so that they could survive. And when you take the combat out of that, you've lost the art. You might as well just go do karate, or aikido, or kendo, or judo. Those were all made in a time of peace. They weren't made to kill people. And I know some other schools will tell you otherwise. They're wrong. They're just wrong. You know, and I'm not going to have an argument with people that want to believe somebody else's words. History says they're wrong. Karate was made in the 1900s. Samurai were done in 1868. There was never a samurai that studied karate. Ever. In the history of mankind. And I don't even know if there would have been a samurai alive during the fucking time. Because if there was a samurai alive in 1868, which was the end, and then he studied karate in 1915, I mean, fuck, that is one hell of an old individual. I just don't know that it's possible. So don't get caught up in the horseshit. There's a difference between the ninjutsu online community and the ninjutsu community. Internet is a good thing. We all like information. But the people that are in the online community are not really in the ninjutsu community. Because the people that's in the ninjutsu community are training their bodies every day, constantly, to be good at combat, to be good at the philosophies and principles and strategies of ninjutsu. The people in the online community, they're not. They're people that have a really big ass, book collection, and they got a really, a great library card, and they're fancy Amazon gift cards and Amazon, downloads and the Kindles and the whole bit. But knowledge is only going to get you so far. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. The ninjutsu community, they're like the know-it-alls that can't do anything. The online ninjutsu community. And sometimes there's worth, but you got to be careful of where you get the information. Because the unfortunate side to that is you cannot take something and not support another thing. If you take information from object A, and that object, individual object or whatever, was meant to be in a very benevolent or maleficent or very hurtful or hateful or misguided way, and you've accepted it, now you've taken in information that will change the direction of how you look at your training. So you don't want to take in information. You got to be careful, because what you take in, you can't just delete it like a computer. It's going to be there, and those little bricks of knowledge, you have to keep checking yourself on everything possible. And if you're going to be someone that looks too much into things, then you're not going to be able to do too many things. You know what I mean? Even in the great Bansen Shukai, known as the Bible of Ninjutsu, it says, don't have doubt. Don't have self-doubt. All right? And you shouldn't be second-guessing your shit either. If you know something's right, then practice that. Dedicate yourself to that. You don't need to know 55 different ways of doing that. It's only in the ninjutsu community, I'm going to have a little go here, is that we have this idea that these people in the online ninjutsu community, well, the Nimpiden says this, the Bansen Shukai says this, Shoninki says this, these scrolls say this, the Gonpo Jyoshu says this, the Igakoga scrolls say this, this, and God damn. You have all this information, and why is it that you don't seem to know shit? How is it possible that you have all this information and you still don't know shit? And you can't do shit. So don't get wrapped up into that world, because that isn't going to help you. It's like people who are in religion. Well, do you really think you can be spiritually enlightened if you go Christian church on Monday, your Jewish temple on Tuesday, you're going out doing pagan ceremony on Wednesday, Thursday you decide to, hail Satan, right? We keep going on with it. There's no way you're going to be spiritually enlightened if you keep looking at these, even if you keep looking and reading about it. Right? If you're a devout Christian and you take one day a week to study the history and the culture and the techniques of how to conjure Satan, are you really a devout Christian? If you're a devout Muslim or a Buddhist and you spend 1 or 2 days a week dedicating yourself on, God damn, why are they running around naked in the woods, casting spells? Are you really devout to the craft that you're trying to study? The answer to that is no. And anybody who says otherwise is full of shit. There's just no other way around that. So when you're studying, like here with the Budo Rikai, this is what you're studying. I don't think there's anything wrong with finding books if you feel that it can help you find the enlightenment that you seek. Be careful, is what I'm saying. Because perception is based off of perspective. And if you take your time right now to go read all this other shit and do all this other shit, and you guys are at the rank you are, you will stop yourself from succeeding at a certain point. Because everything you're going to find in all those other books, sooner or later you're going to get here. But there's a progression of training for a reason. And training, the way is in training. The way is not in reading. I believe that was a quote from Miyamoto Musashi, yeah? The way is in training. Yeah.